Let's take a quick look around the interface of the new UAD Lexicon 480L, and then we'll put it to work on some vocals. Now, to start with, we have a hidden panel that we get to from this open button where we can get some true stereo processing by unlinking and adjusting the input and output gain and level for the left and right sides independently. We can click on the labels to snap them back to 0, and when we're in link mode, they'll move together, and we can just snap the name input gain or output level, and it'll snap back to 0. As with the original hardware unit, the settings are organized into banks and programs. We click here to get access to the 10 banks, and they each feature one of the algorithms, except the last one, which combines a few of them. And then we get the 10 programs per bank up here. So we can select there, or we can scroll here through the programs within each bank using these buttons, and we can scroll through the banks themselves with this. Now, we also have A and B settings, so we can easily toggle between two different settings. And a word about the wet-dry controls. We have wet and dry buttons here. We click on this to decrease the amount of wet signal, and this will increase it. However, this only works when wet solo is disabled. And we see in the display here that it's enabled right now. So I'm going to click it and turn it off, and now you'll see the value incrementing and decrementing as I click, and I can hold my finger down on the mouse button to move it as well, or wet solo means it's 100% wet. And we can also get to this via the sliders in one of the pages. Now let's talk about the sliders. We can go through the different pages with these page left and right buttons, and if we click on the cap of each fader, we'll see a full description of what each fader is controlling. Now I'm going to start with one of the banks here called Random Spaces, because I want to take advantage of some of the nice spin and wander settings that are unique to the Lexicon that give it its unique qualities. And I'm going to start with the third program, so I can go up here and get it, or I could go through the programs here, but we also have these preset buttons, so I'm just going to click 3 and it jumps to the third one. So let's give a quick listen to this vocal with it muted, and I'll put it on, and then we'll go through and tweak the parameters.
Hey girl, this is what you get with me. A big bright summer of possibility.
So that's just my starting point. Now, the size control on the first page over here interacts with the reverb time. So I'm going to set this a bit higher. I'm going to set it to about 30 meters. And let's adjust this to taste.
Hey girl, this is what you get with me. A big bright summer of possibility.
That's great. And I'm going to add some pre-delay.
We'll take a drive and see where we arrive on this
That's good.
highway. A highway.
Hey boy, let me tell you what I need.
The shape and spread I'm not too concerned about right now. I'm going to leave those where they are, as well as the high frequency cut. Now let's go to the second page and things start getting more interesting. On the first page we have reverb time, and this sets the mid frequency reverb. But here we have a bass multiply value, and that sets the reverb time for lower frequency signals, and it's a multiplier of the main reverb time, and it's set to 1.2 by default, but I want to adjust that a bit higher, and then we set the crossover point here. Now, one of the challenges with this is that it's a duet. There's male and female vocals, so I've got to get settings that work for both.
Hey girl, this is what you get with me. A big bright summer of possibility. We'll take a drive and see where we arrive on this highway, a highway.
Now here, the reverb time high frequency cut sets the decay after this value, and lower values will create a kind of darker sound, and higher values will just be a bit brighter, and I want to keep it fairly low.
Hey boy, let me tell you what I need. A splash of color and the road in front of me.
The diffusion sets the density of the echoes, and they increase over time with a higher value, but I think I want to lower this a little bit.
Hey girl, this is what you get with me. A big bright summer of possibility. We'll take a drive and see where...
And the mix isn't really important right now since we have wet solo on. Let's go to the next page. Now this is where things get really interesting. We can set up some pre-echoes, and these interact with what's on the fourth page. This sets the level of the echoes. I'm going to use 2 echoes for now, and I'm going to put these up fairly high for the moment. And then on the next page, we set the time of the echoes.
Hey girl, this is what you get with me. A big bright summer of possibility. We'll take a drive and see where we arrive on this highway.
So that's really interesting. It adds a nice thickness by adding some echoes before the reverb. We can now get into the spin and wander control. Spin sets the rate of wander, and wander is the amount of time that the delay moves around in any direction. So I want to set these nice and high to get some nice effect.
Highway.
Hey boy, let me tell you what I need. A splash of color and the road in front of me.
Now here we have up to 4 or 5 different echoes, and I'm going to just use the first 2 for now, and then we have an output. So that's it. Let's listen to some of this engaged and then bypassed.
Hey girl, this is what you get with me. A big bright summer of possibility. We'll take a drive and see where we arrive on this highway. Highway.
Hey boy, let me tell you what I need. A splash of color and the road in front of me. Let's drop the top, cause we're never gonna stop, we'll do it.
So that's the Lexicon 480L from Universal Audio.